current affairs, facts and opinion, their future in our hands. Markets, globalist technocrats versus the people. A line in the sand. The McIntyre Report.
Welcome back, McIntyre Report, folks. Jamie McIntyre reporting Australian National Review, ANR.news for our 24-hour news headlines. Charlie Kirk, Israel. Now Netanyahu wants to bomb Iran again. He's ramping up the attack. Iran has weapons and they're planning to bomb Washington, New York, and San Francisco. Is this guy just an old record, like repeating lies? He's repeated for 20 years. Oh, I thought they destroyed Iran's strike capability back in June. Now it's a new story that Iran is only days away from being the big bad person. If you follow fake news, you would think Iran is a threat, China is a threat, Russia is a threat. None of them want war, folks. But let me give you a clue. Who wants war? Who always wants war? Banker wankers want war. They profit from war because they own the Western military industrial complex, and war is how they steal more assets, and they're into killing people, even children, so they need death and misery upon you. That's just who they are. That's what satanic fucks are. So why would you ever stand with the side that wants war? Oh, but Hamas is evil. Do you believe that bullshit? Any evil in Hamas is from the extremists, including Mossad, that's infiltrated in Hamas. If Hamas is evil, well, deal with the people that created Hamas. That would be Israel. Deal with the people that fund Hamas. That would be Israel. It's not me saying that. A certain Benjamin Netanyahu, that might be the Israeli prime minister in 2019, publicly said to his Likud party that we must continue those who want to see Israel achieve its political objectives, which is the Greater Israel Project. We must continue to support Hamas. Hamas, Netanyahu, Israel. So if you're going to just spew Western propaganda and want to have a debate with people that actually know what's going on in the world, don't. If you're going to post publicly support of Israel, don't. It's going to come back to haunt you and come down on top of you like a ton of bricks. You may even be sued. We are helping activism and we'll be funding ongoing millions of dollars over the next few years to go after people that are publicly supporting Israel. We're not just going to go after Israel. We're going to go after their supporters. And we're going to, like Israel's trying to ban us from life with a digital ID that's coming, and they're going to ban you if you post on TikTok or X that they control now, and TikTok, and you can't say anything anti-Israel. Even in Australia, you'll be in breach of anti-Semitic laws. You burn the Israeli flags, you go to jail. You can burn the American or Australian flag. That's fine, but not the Israeli flag. They're going to ban and cancel you from society. But we're not going to allow that. We're going to do that to them. So anyone that is a Zionist, stands with Israel, or supports Israel, we're going to push for them to be fired from their jobs, for their businesses to be blacklisted, for them to be booted out of premises and banned from most premises. Let's give them a taste of their own medicine. You stand with evil, too bad. You can't participate in society. Fuck off. And anyone's got a problem with that, please message me. My WhatsApp number is right here on the screen, including Israel. If I was Australian Prime Minister, I would punch Netanyahu in the face. He deserves a lot more than that for sniping and killing children, bombing them every day. If you stand with this sick fucker, then what does that say about you? It's time the world woke up and stopped standing with the devil's chosen ones. I mean, how much more evidence? There's zero excuse now. Yes, all of us were fooled to stand with Israel in the past. But if you still stand with Israel now, you have a mental health problem or you're somewhat an evil individual. My God, it shouldn't be that difficult.
Okay, let's call out Donald Trump right now. Okay, all of the acting. We don't want China. We don't want China to own TikTok, and I'm worried about your data. No, you wanted to hand it over to your Zionist friends. Okay, it was all a mirage. Okay, it was all theater. Donald Trump has sold us out to Israel once again.
So a few days ago, I spoke about the US influencers Netanyahu had enlisted in a last-ditch bid to salvage Israel's collapsing image abroad. I've since been seeing these reports that Israel is paying these individuals potentially as much as $6,000 per post, some garnering up to $7,000. Yep, you heard that right. For the price of a well-used luxury car, you too could probably rake in that money in exchange for flooding social media with pro-Israel content. So let's do a little bit of quick, very simple maths. Say for argument's sake, you're on the lower end and you're raking in a mere $6,000 per post. You were pretty consistent with it and made a video 5 days a week, you would bring in $30,000 a week. Then if you were extra consistent and you did that 5 days a week for an entire month, that's $120,000 a month. But wait, Records reveals the firm is being paid to recruit 14 to 18 influencers to post 25 to 30 pro-Israel posts a month across social media platforms. As any content creator knows, consistency and posting daily is the short and steadiest way to grow and the fastest way to ensure a message is spread. So, adding on an extra 5 to 10 posts a month, technically, if you went full throttle, that's $150,000 to $180,000 a month. And of course, that is just the lower end. Invoices between the firms involved break down that if you are on the higher end, you can expect a monthly payment of up to $250,000. So $250,000 is how much you can earn a month to help obscure the facts of a genocide in this day and age. Again, these are not diplomats, they're not journalists, they're influencers. Now let's have a quick refresher. In no particular order, here's just a handful of these influencers who Netanyahu chose to meet with at Israel's Consulate General in New York. Lizzie Savetsky, who shared content of Rabbi Meir Kahane, who was deemed extremist even by Israel, and she said the only language Arabs understand is force and fear. Deborah Leah.
By the way, the people that are sympathizing with Palestine right now literally rot in hell.
Emily Austin.
Imagine supporting people who start wars just to lose the wars so they can cry about it.
That opinionated girl, formerly that Zionist girl, who believes AIPAC, the pro-Israel lobbying group, has no links to Israel whatsoever.
AIPAC is not an Israeli organization. It has no ties whatsoever to the government of Israel.
Now let's connect it all to the real world. Even though Hamas accepted Trump's ceasefire deal last Friday, and Trump called on Israel to halt airstrikes, missiles are still raining down on Gaza. Meanwhile, these creators keep posting educational explainers for extortionate fees, funded by a state currently under scrutiny for war crimes. And so it begs the question, how far will people go for a paycheck before credibility and ethics become optional extras? Just wondering. Thank you.
And we should all be wondering. Some shekels we sell your soul to the devil. Ben Shapiro has. Jordan Peterson has. Trump administration has. Charlie Kirk had some principles. When he realized the truth, he had a turning point in his life and could no longer be pro-Israel and support the pro-Israel cause.
On page 125 in your discussion of international affairs, you have a reference to Australia's role in the Security Council of the United Nations during the 1973 Middle East War.
Yeah.
And you say there that Sir Lawrence McIntyre was president of the Security Council when the war broke out. And you say that political pressure and even blackmail was brought to bear on you and your government. But despite that, you gave him every support. What was the blackmail? How was it exercised? And who was responsible for it?
The blackmail was exercised by some heroes in the Australian Jewish community on the other side of the world from the hostilities, that we should support Israel in the dispute between Israel and its neighbours. And of course, my government at least pursued the expressed policy of all Australian governments to be neutral in those disputes and to take all steps available to Australia in resolving those disputes. And it would have been an appalling thing for us to come down on the side of, on one side, at the time that an Australian was in the key position of President of the Security Council. Now, if I may enlarge on this, since then, people in Australia should realise that there are now as many Arabs as Jews in Australia. There are as many Muslims as Jews. And we want everybody in Australia, of whatever racial origin, of whatever religious persuasion, to live in harmony and fruitful cooperation in this country of their adoption or their birth. And we...
Well, well, well. Did Gough Whitlam, former Prime Minister, when I was born, actually, back in the early 70s, did he underestimate the power of even the Israeli lobby in Australian politics back then? Because if you don't know history, 1973, correct me if I'm wrong, he was removed from office by Governor Kirk, and Malcolm Fraser was installed as president. No doubt, Malcolm was willing to do the Israeli bidding. He became Prime Minister. Kevin Rudd, in his book Exposed, and I'm no fan of Kevin Rudd politics, doesn't matter if you're left or right politics, let's not get involved in politics of being manipulated by Israel. If you fall for the left and right trick, they're playing you. But Kevin Rudd wrote about that he opposed and wasn't getting along, and was basically told, well, we're going to get rid of you and replace you with Julia Gillard, because he was not agreeing to the policies Israel wanted implemented into Australia. Bob Carr's another one that spoke out about them, plenty of others. But now more and more people can speak out because Israeli propaganda is leaking like a sieve. It's getting out there, the truth. See, Soros suing Rupert Murdoch, who owns Fox, over the election Trump claimed to have won, which most likely did back in 2020. They wanted Tucker Carlson fired as well. Tucker was fired from Fox News, but Tucker then was popular and made popular by the right faction Zionists because he was willing to push Israeli propaganda. But when Tucker realized the truth, stopped doing that, he's become very powerful on his own accord and doesn't need. That's why they hate Tucker and they hate Candace, because they're self-funded independent journalists that can't be stopped. They're not taking Israeli money to push the right faction or left faction Zionism. That's why they hate them. You bet they do.
All right, you guys. Tucker Carlson. Tell you something about him. He is the man of the hour, potentially the man of the last couple of years. His exit from Fox News, legendary. You know, he's not going to stop talking about what's going on in Ukraine, the Ukraine corruption. They kick him out. They're like, no, you cannot stand up to the military-industrial complex. I wouldn't even say he rebuilt. It was like he never left. And yeah, when you talk about the military-industrial complex, inevitably you're going to land back. You're going to be discussing Israel. That's just how it works. And he's been discussing Israel from a military-industrial complex perspective, but also he is speaking about Jeffrey Epstein. And now Israel is rising up against Tucker. They already were, in case you missed it, but they are raising alarms. So first and foremost, I'll tell you what he said. I'll show you what he said. He was speaking at Turning Point USA, their annual conference that takes place in Tampa, Florida. And here is what he said. And the crowd, which means young students coming up, loved it. Take a listen.
And I think the real answer is Jeffrey Epstein was working on behalf of intel services, probably not American. And we have every right to ask, on whose behalf was he working? How does a guy go from being a math teacher at the Dalton School in the late 70s with no college degree to having multiple airplanes, a private island, and the largest residential house in Manhattan? Where did all the money come from? And no one has ever gotten to the bottom of that because no one has ever tried. And moreover, it's extremely obvious to anyone who watches that this guy had direct connections to a foreign government. Now, no one's allowed to say that that foreign government is Israel because we have been somehow cowed into thinking that that's naughty. There is nothing wrong with saying that. There is nothing hateful about saying that. There's nothing anti-Semitic about saying that. There's nothing even anti-Israel about saying that.
I got to give credit to Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens. A lot of people want to go, oh, no, see, that Israel then will tell you, oh, they're psyops and don't believe them. And fake news is going, Candace has lost the plot. Well, Candace is telling the truth. The people who follow fake news have lost the plot, mentally retarded, like pretending to be children. But a 5-year-old can see through the bullshit false narrative of September 11th, but fully matured adults can't. Fully manured adults believe that Tyler Robertson killed Charlie Kirk. Why do they believe that? Because they're too lazy to do any fact-checking, independent analysis. because they're lazy, mentally lazy, because they're so consumer material survival, paying off a globalist banker's mortgage, and so worried about impressing fake friends on Facebook and worshipping fake pieces of paper printed by fake Jewish imposters that own your fake news media and sell you fake pandemics so you're dumb enough to take a fake vaccine. The world is so simple when you realize most people are fake because they're fed fake education, fake news, lies by their fake puppet politicians, and all controlled by pieces of paper with deceased notables on it that are counterfeit money printed by the Federal Reserve Bank, which is set up by fake Jewish imposters. The world's so simple. If you only knew how it worked.
Trump is angry because the world's most powerful leader is taking advantage of America. The Chinese president, Xi, announced a brand new K visa, and he welcomed young professionals in tech and science with open arms. And Xi Jinping launched the K visa just days after President Trump slapped a $100,000 fees on companies that hire workers in America on the H-1B visa program. And Xi said that while the US is raising barriers, China is lowering them. But here's the twist. Modi is upset too, because 75% of H-1B visas go to Indians, and now it's hard for them to work in US. But now, Modi and Xi are teaming up to build world-class companies like Apple and Microsoft, powered by Indian and Chinese talent. Yes. But now, Modi and Xi are teaming up to build world-class companies like Apple and Microsoft, powered by Indian and Chinese talent.
China's not stupid. And we've got to say, Israel makes America look stupid consistently.
Trump warned China now U.S. sanctions made Beijing stronger. The U.S. thought sanctions would slow down China's nuclear ambitions, but reality tells a different story. Instead of weakening, China turned the restrictions into fuel for innovation, making itself the global leader in nuclear power. While Washington claimed national security risks, China kept building, approving nearly 10 new reactors every year since 2022. Today, reports show the U.S. is 15 years behind China in this critical sector. This isn't the first time American sanctions backfired. From space exploration to microchips, every attempt to block China has only pushed Beijing to double down and outpace the U.S. Now, nuclear energy, seen as the backbone of a green and secure future, is where China dominates, while the West struggles with costs and opposition. The nuclear race is real, but collaboration, not rivalry, will decide our future. Should the West partner with China for a greener tomorrow or risk falling further behind? Tell me what you think in the comments.
Well, it's all interesting. But here's Trump yesterday.
1-year penalty for inciting riots. We took the freedom of speech away because that's been through the courts, and the court said you have freedom of speech. But what has happened is when they burn a flag, it agitates and irritates crowds. They've never seen anything like it on both sides, and you end up with riots. So we're going on that basis. We're looking at it not from the freedom of speech, which I always felt strongly about, but never passed the courts.
So he's basically saying that we have to suspend certain level of free speech to defeat Antifa. Now, you don't know, Antifa is on the left. It's funded by Israel. They antagonists. They want to make the extreme left look like nutcases because they support Palestine, nutcases. If you dare go, well, I kind of feel sorry for Palestinians. Oh, you're a nutcase. Domestic terrorists. Divide to conquer. Left and right. You fall for that game, you lose. You'll either get left faction Zionism, globalist, communistic puppets controlling you, or on the right, you get Netanyahu, baby killers, and stand with us as we drop bombs on children and create peace in the Middle East, which happens to be pieces of children's body parts spread everywhere. But we're the poor victims. We have tanks, fighter jets, US precision weapons that can target to Beirut and kill someone they want to target in their kitchen. But you telling me they can't miss the children in Gaza? Oh, that's right, because Hamas must be under 90% of residential buildings, under 33 to 36 hospitals and medical centers bombed by your friends Israel. Schools, yeah, that's because there's been no kids at school, right? They're sick, folks. Stand with a sick nation. You'll end up a sick person.
Could this actually be a proof to the stimulation theory? They told you the Charlie Kirk tragedy was a one-off? Well, it wasn't. It's been played before, like literally frame for frame. Go back to 1998, a Nicolas Cage movie called Snake Eyes. In that film, a political figure named Charles Kirkland, yeah, that's his actual name, gets shot in the neck by a sniper at a public event. Same wound, same setting, same everything. Opening scene, there's a banner for the event. Date, September 10th, same day. The event itself? A boxing match headlined by a fighter called Tyler the Executioner. In real life, Tyler Robinson is accused of being the executioner. Coincidence? Come on. While all this is happening on screen, Cage is talking about his lucky number and a giant 7 flashes in the background. Elon Musk just announced that all spacecraft launching in 2026 will carry the number 77 in tribute to Charlie Kirk. Why 77? Nobody's giving answers. And it gets weirder. Floating above the crowd in Snake Eyes is a massive all-seeing eye on a blimp, watching everything. That's the name, Snake Eyes. And what is 2025? The year of the snake. The tagline? Believe everything except your eyes. Filmed in Trump's hotel, Atlantic City. How many coincidences? Until it's not a coincidence. Same script, same symbols, same numbers. Simulation confirmed.
This is just a theory, not a fact.
Well, that's interesting, isn't it? Snake Eyes, many people have been highlighting that. The similarities. Is it what we call predictive programming, telling you in advance what they plan to do? Who knows? Could just be coincidence. I don't know in that case, but I know 99.9% that Israel did the Charlie Kirk killing, and they've been guilty. Their behavior patterns have been suggesting that ever since, and that if you think otherwise, you can take $10 million off as Australian National Review. That's all we have for this episode, folks. We'll be back with some more. This is our last episode from our current studios. We shall be moving studios. We film out of Indonesia, not out of Australia, because in Australia, if you criticize a fake state created in 1948, you could go to jail. Do you realize that? Censorship is rife in Western nations, but in countries like Indonesia, part of the BRICS, we don't have such censorship. We have freedoms. Not perfect, but we have freedoms. That's why I'm building a new city.
What if I told you that owning a beachfront villa in Indonesia could cost less than a new car? Marina Bay City, Lombok, new release villas start from just $99,000 AUD, and they can generate up to 20% yearly rental returns, plus 50-80% capital gain while being built. Lombok is Bali's stunning, untouched neighbor, same paradise vibe, but still early and affordable. Smart investors are already moving in. Want to see how? Join our free webinar, Message Us Webinar, and we'll send you the link.
What does $78,000 get you in Bali? Introducing Resort KNVOs by LUX. Studios from $79,000 AUD. Hotel-style amenities. Live. Work. Unwind. Unique design villas, live in or rent out. Prime Seminyak location. Steps to dining, buffets and beach clubs. Projected net annual returns, 12 to 18% PA. Thinking of moving to Bali? Own your place in Seminyak. Own at Resort KNVOs by Lux Seminyak.